Hello everyone, welcome back to Art with 100 Hues, and in today's video you will be learning how to do these 5 super easy mini projects for beginners. Let's get started. The first mini project we're going to do are bubbles. Bubbles are, believe it or not, really easy to draw, so let's get started. To get started, I have opened a square canvas, which is just this square default setting from Procreate. It doesn't matter what size of canvas you use, like at all, so you can choose whatever you want. You could do screen size. For all of these, I'm going to be using square, but again, you could do whatever you want. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the layers and select background color, and we're just going to switch this all the way to black. The bubbles show up much nicer on a black background because of the colors and the blending and stuff like that. Now I'm going to change my color. I'm going to use white. And I'm just going to use some kind of solid brush. All of these projects are going to be very loose with guidelines and stuff like that. So I'm just going to draw a circle and let that snap. And then using the arrow with snapping on, I'm going to center it like that. I actually want this to be a little thicker. I'm using my self-created brushes. If you guys want these brushes, they are linked down below. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this wand, select Gaussian blur, and I'm gonna blur it for about 20%. Then you're going to add a new layer. Now you have basically full freedom. So I'm going to choose this kind of orange coral color first and kind of swatch a bunch of swatches of that color just randomly in this circle. I'm going to do the same with another color. This time I'm going to do a pink kind of color. I actually like this one that I already have in a color palette. Now we need a little bit of contrast. So now I'm going to go and do this light blue. And we need some green in there. The shade of colors doesn't matter. I suggest using this kind of color range though. Making sure that you include a lot of different colors. And just trust the process with this. Now we're going to go back on the wand and Gaussian blur again. And blur that out. Just like that. Now I'm going to go on the layers. Pinch those two together, and this is basically where the magic happens. You grab an eraser, you draw a circle around it and let that snap. To make it perfect, tap your finger. I'm going to make sure that this circle is perfectly round. And now you may have to get rid of the outline as well, because you still have a little bit left over. And for the very last step for this project, I'm going to add another layer, and we're going to make sure that this layer is a clipping mask. This just makes sure that everything you draw in this layer stays within the shape that you have drawn in the layer that's below it. So now I'm going to change my color back to white and add a little bit of a highlight. Use Gaussian blur to blur that out. I like that it's not super visible when you do this, but it's still there, and you still have that. There we go. If you wanted more than one bubble, you can go ahead and pinch those together. Duplicate. Use the arrow up here to shrink and move around in whatever way you want. Just like so. Our next mini project is super easy, super fast. A text animation, obviously. Let's go. For this next drawing, I'm gonna change my color back to black. And I'm gonna be using some sort of calligraphy brush. I'm gonna use calligraphy ink in my brush set that I made, which is linked down below, like I said earlier. Make sure that it's a good size. All right. My size is at 5% right now, if you did decide to download it. Now we're gonna write some kind of text. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna do easy animation. Now we're gonna go on the wrench up here, and where it says canvas, turn on animation assist. Now we can add a frame and trace over this. Unless your handwriting is literally perfect, this should be slightly different, and you want it to be slightly different. Otherwise, you won't get the animation. So by the end of this, you should have some kind of messy looking thing like that. Now we're gonna go on settings down here and change this to ping pong. Then change the frames per second to 9, so it's actually we're gonna do 8, so you can actually read it. And now you can just play that, and now you have an easy text animation. Our next project is a little bit longer, but it's totally worth it. I love the way this turns out every single time. It's almost impossible to mess this one up. It's so beautiful, and I hope you enjoy it. The first thing I'm gonna do is change the background color. So we're gonna go on layers, background color, and I'm gonna change this to a kind of beige or like sand color, something like just some kind of tan, beige, whatever you want to call it, just something that reminds you of sand. Whenever I go on vacation, the sand is very bright, so I just made it a very light color. So now I'm going to change my color to a dark blue. I like this color. And I'm just going to draw a line on the bottom of the canvas and tap my finger to make it like perfectly across and fill that in. Now we're gonna go on the wand, liquefy, and twirl right or left. It doesn't really matter. Make sure momentum's all the way down, distortion and pressure all the way up. And size, you can really just play around with that as long as it's not too small, too big. I don't like using my Apple Pencil for this personally, because you would have to, with the Pro, you would have to turn it like that, and that just looks messy, so I'm just gonna use my finger for this. And instead of dragging it, we're just gonna pick it up and just do that. Next, we're gonna go to layers, add a new layer, and drag that layer underneath. I'm gonna change my color to a lighter blue. Do the same thing, draw the line across, tap my finger down, fill that in. And again, we're gonna go to the wand, liquefy, make sure that all the settings are the same, and just twirl until it looks good. I'm gonna do the same thing once more, and I'm gonna do a lighter blue, add a new layer. Don't forget to do that like I just did. Drag it underneath. I'm gonna drag it down a little bit because we do still need a little bit of space. And we're gonna go to the wand, liquefy, and again, liquefy until you think it looks good. Just like that. And we're gonna add another layer, drag it underneath. And the last color we're gonna do is just white. We're gonna draw a very small line. Like, not small, but we're gonna have this be very close to the lighter blue that we just did. Fill that in, go to the wand, liquefy, and do the same thing that I've been doing for all the blues. Just like so. Now we want the paper effect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open the layers, and we're just gonna go through and duplicate every one of these layers. I'm gonna start with layer 1, and I'm gonna click on the lower layer, change my color to black, and then fill that layer. And you can't see it, but usually when it says continue filling up here, that's when you know that you filled it in. And we're just gonna go through and do this to all of the lower ones. You should not be able to see this. Unless you're on the layers and you see that it's black. Just like that. I'm gonna stay on this layer, and I'm gonna click on the wand, Gaussian blur, and blur this out slightly. Not too much though, so like 5%. And I'm gonna do this for all of them. For this last color, because it's so dark, I will make this 7. And lastly, you're gonna add a new layer. Make sure it's on top of all of them. You can go ahead and merge these, by the way, by pinching them. And with this new layer, we're gonna go on the wand, on noise, and just slide it about 10%. This just gives you the paper texture just on top. And there we go. This one is super quick, and I find it to be very therapeutic, and I just think it's super fun, and I used to do this one all the time as a beginner, and it really taught me a lot. So I hope you guys enjoy it too. To set this drawing up, I'm going to click on the wrench up here, and under canvas, turn on the drawing guide. We're gonna edit the drawing guide and click symmetry up here. Now we're gonna click on the options, and we're gonna do radial. Then we can click done and get started. I'm using my calligraphy ink brush on 5% size. And my color is black. So now we can just get started and make some random shapes. And it will mirror these for us. It's really easy to just come up with some random designs for this. And it's quite therapeutic. This one is a really quick one. I used to do these all the time when I started out. They really taught me a lot. And that's just how quick this was. It was super fast, and it's a really pretty design. If you want to get rid of the symmetry, you can just turn off the drawing guide, just like so. And we can fill that in. You can color it. You can do so much with it. I think it looks really nice, and it's such a super easy and simple project. So let's get to the next one. This next one is super easy, super simple, and really cute. Let's get started. To start drawing this one, I'm actually going to turn on symmetry. So again, like the one before, we're going to go to the wrench, drawing guide, edit drawing guide, and symmetry. Then we can click done. I'm using calligraphy ink on, let's do 3%. You can use any like solid color brush. You just don't want too large or like textured brush, if that makes sense. So pretty much all of the ones from calligraphy are fine, or inking. I'm just gonna start, and for whatever reason the symmetry isn't working. So if it's not working for you, you click on the layer and you turn on drawing assist. And then I'm just gonna draw a line. Just like that. We kind of want to even it out. Make sure that it looks like one line. Kind of want to fix that up a little bit. And then we're going to continue just drawing the pot. Then we're going to go down and just connect like that. Then we can connect these a little bit smoother and just make sure that all your angles and stuff like that are smooth. That's the only downside with symmetry. For whatever reason, like, well, not for whatever reason, it makes sense, but like all of the, when like lines intersect, they just don't work very well. Now we can go ahead and turn it off. I'm gonna make sure drawing assist is off here and go to the wrench and turn off drawing guide. Now we can go ahead and draw our cactus. We're gonna edit the shape, most likely. I probably have to. So here I'm just gonna edit that. And for later on, make sure that all of your lines actually do intersect. Now I'm gonna do the arm. And one that's pointing down. I don't like that one yet. There we go. like that. That one's a little small, but it's fine. All right. Now I'm gonna draw a face. So I'm gonna do 2 eyes, and right now it looks a little creepy, but then it gets a little mouth. So now it's kind of cute. Okay. Obviously, it doesn't look like a cactus just yet. We're gonna add color, we're gonna add more. We have the basic shape down though. We're gonna click on this layer and we're gonna click on reference. This makes it so that all of the layers that are on top of this layer are able to fill in this shape. So it's basically like a coloring sheet just online, like on your iPad, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna start by just coloring in the pot. I think the pot is the easiest thing to focus on and to finish quickly. I'm gonna take like a clay color and fill that in. Now to add a little bit of texture. It's sized up for whatever reason. I think I had it at 3%. We're gonna make a shadow. And that's basically the pot. That's pretty much everything there is. Now we're gonna do the cactus himself. So we're gonna add a new layer. We want all the layers to be separate just in case you mess something up and, I don't know, you can't fix it because they're separate. Now I'm gonna take a green. I'm gonna double check that this is a good green. I think that's a good green. So now we can fill that in. Oh yeah, here, that line. So now you go to the reference and fix that. And then you can fill that back in. Now I'm gonna take a darker green, so just scroll it down a little bit diagonally. And I'm gonna add shadow right there by the arms. Don't worry about it going over the lines at like towards the end. We're gonna move it down. Now, the only thing that we're missing for it to be an actual cactus is its spikes, obviously. So I'm gonna take a very, very light yellow color, like that. And I'm gonna size down my brush to 1%, if it'll let me. Come on, there we go. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna add a new layer, and I'm gonna draw a bunch of spikes just like that. And that's about it. We have a very tall cactus. The only thing that you could do is take layer 3 and 2 and make sure they're under the reference. So this way your shadows don't interfere with the outlines. And another thing you could do is add another layer on top and go to the wand and do noise about 10%. I'm actually gonna, since the background is white, I'm actually gonna do 5% so you can't really see it. It gives you the paper texture, which I love when it comes to drawings like these. And there you go. And those are your 5 beginner projects. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you guys did end up enjoying these mini tutorials, I do have 2 longer and more in-depth tutorials on 2 other paintings linked down below, and I hope you guys check those out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Have an amazing day.